Hi, Doug Franklin. I'm really excited to tell you about the Discipleship Pathway. In Deep Discipleship, we answer the question, how do you develop a student as a disciple? When I ask most youth workers that question, they're like, I don't know, is it small groups? Small groups is a great way to meet and to study the Bible, but discipleship is really about a one-on-one relationship. We created this tool for you and for your adult volunteers. You can actually use this tool with each student to walk them through the pathway of discipleship. Now remember, a disciple is someone who walks in obedience to Jesus Christ. And discipleship is multiplication through relationships. So we refine and grow as disciples of Christ through a relationship with another believer. This discipleship pathway is really important for us. And this tool will help your adult volunteers and you walk students through that pathway. I know for me, when I'm discipling a student, the toughest question I face is what's next? What do I talk about next? What do I focus on next? And this pathway really helps with that. Let me walk you through it. Step number one is you got to build a deep and meaningful relationship. Meaningful relationships with students lead to trust, and when you have trust, you can talk about anything. So I like to discover students in this first phase. I ask them questions about themselves because I want to move from a level 1 relationship, face and facts, to a level 2 relationship. I want to know something about their feelings, fear, and faith. Because when they share that with me, I know I'm building trust with them. The second step in this discipleship pathway is I want to share my own story of redemption. God is doing some amazing work in my life, and I want to share that with students. I'm not talking about the big testimony people. I'm actually talking about day in and day out, how is God's word affecting my life, and how am I having wins and maybe some losses that I can share with the student that will open up vulnerability so together we can begin to walk the road. The third step I'm going to take with the student is I'm going to ask intentional questions. Not questions like, did Jesus turn the water into wine? But questions like, when have you experienced the love of Christ in your life? How is your family wrestling with following Jesus? Questions like that are going to move from discussion questions to discipleship questions, and we're going to actually be able to acquire some knowledge, some truth that students need. The fourth step I'm going to take when I'm going through the discipleship pathway is I am going to help students make applications. Jesus tells the story of the man who builds his house on the sand and the man who builds his house on the rock. The difference between these two men is the man who builds his house on the rock looks into God's word and follows it. He applies God's word to his life. The storms of life come, but he is preserved. We need to get students to apply God's word to change their behavior, their mindsets, and their attitudes. And when we're able to do that, we'll see growth in their life. And then the final thing, once a student has made an application, the final step on the discipleship pathway is to hold them accountable. They need someone to do life with them, walk the road with them, like we always say. This is where we do it. We're holding them accountable to applications that they have made from God's word. The Deep Discipleship Pathway, man, this is a great tool to use with your adult volunteers and to be able to use yourself. And it's woven into every part of Deep Discipleship. We wanted to give you a tool and common language that you can use in your youth ministry to talk about where you're at in the discipleship process with every student, and a way to be able to have your adult volunteers go, I'm confident that I can disciple students. Boy, you got to check out this resource because it's going to take your youth ministry from really good youth ministry to intentional discipleship making youth ministry. Check it out. I know you're going to love it.